We are back with House Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi. So many things to ask you about, but you know what it's like to be in charge of a caucus when there's a slim majority. It's looking like, as of this moment, unfortunately, there was a Doug LaMalfa of California lost his life. An Indiana Republican Congressman Jim Baird suffered a serious accident. So it's right now, it looks like Speaker Mike Johnson has a one-seat majority currently for now. Very small. Yeah. What do you see as the impact of that? What are the challenges as you look to how Congress is going to run over the next year?
Well, we'll see. We have two governors that have been elected, and so we have to replace them. But the fact is, whatever it is in the near term and within the year, before now, 1 year from now, Hakeem Jeffries will be the Speaker of the House. The Democrats will win the House, hopefully the Senate as well. And the Republicans know that, and that's why you see some change in behavior in terms of discharge petitions, whether it's on healthcare. They even hate to bring up the other subject, but Republicans signing up on those so that we can have votes on the floor and action taken in that way. But the fact is that what's happening now is that Congress has almost been abolished by the Republicans. The Speaker has surrendered his title to the President of the United States. The Senate, too. I mean, they practically are non-existent in terms of meeting the needs of the American people from the Republican side. So what people have to see is that we're in a situation where we're about affordability. We're about how people having access to quality health care. We're about the Republicans in their big, stinking, lousy, ugly bill, which you described, some describe differently, have taken away the subsidies, have taken millions of people off of Medicaid, $500 billion out of Medicare. That's what we should be talking about, not spending billions of dollars to go into Venezuela. The president of Venezuela is a terrible person. He's a ruthless, terrible person. It's not about whether he's worth the trouble. It's about what our priorities are in our country. And if we want to stop the use of drugs coming into the country, we have to stop the use of drugs in our country. And the best way to do that is by treatment on demand. It's the most humane and the cheapest way to solve that problem. So let's, we want this White House and this Congress to focus on meeting the kitchen table needs of the American people. That's what they should be doing, not sending money to billions of dollars to Argentina, billions of dollars to go into. It's going to be very expensive when we see how much it costs to go into Venezuela. And by the way, just to end on the Venezuela thing, he's bringing the president of Venezuela here while he's pardoning Hernandez, who's a thug from Honduras. One thing they have in common is both countries are a source of money to this administration and their friends. Oil in Venezuela, and all kinds of things in Honduras.
You have been kind of a driver of making sure Democrats and others are talking about what they're doing and that people are paying attention to it, whether it's fighting for affordable health care and the extension of these Obamacare tax credits or many other things that are on the Democratic agenda. There has been, I don't know if you saw this, Trump said today that if Democrats win in the midterms, they'll find a way to impeach him. First of all, impeachment is about what the president does. It has nothing to do with politics. But you've been through two that had good reason. Do you think he has reason to be worried? And do you think pursuing an impeachment, even if it's warranted, is worth Democrats' time?
If as I've said, there's only one person responsible for the impeachment of Donald Trump, and that's Donald Trump. He gave us no choice. He crossed the line here and there. The fact is, what we're here to do is meet the needs of the American people. If he goes to a place, that's a different story. But it isn't something you go searching for. No, it's not that. But he
is
just
Venezuela something people should watch?
You know what? Let's not. What are we talking about that for? Let's talk about winning the House and shining a bright light on what he is doing, and instead of spending the public dollar on meeting people's needs, instead spending to go into Venezuela. Now he's talking about Cuba and Colombia and Mexico and Greenland. What is this? It's insanity. It really is. I think the reason he's flirting with Greenland and disrupting NATO is to do a favor for his friend Putin. When I left his office pointing at him,
Remember the
I'm
picture?
leaving here. I get more requests to sign that picture than anything.
I bet.
Even better than I said to him, I'm leaving, Mr. President. I've had it with you because with you, all roads lead to Putin. So realize that this road leads to Putin as well. This is really a sad situation of a person who is suffering from something, and consequently, the American people will pay the price. We have to make sure they know that we are fighting for those subsidies to make. It's not just about the health of American people; it's about their financial health as well. So, how do you go and say tens of millions of people off of Medicaid, $500 billion out of Medicare, subsidies making it unaffordable to have health care? Oh, and by the way, we're giving a tax break to the richest people in America who don't need it, and we're spending money so they can make money in Argentina, Honduras, and Venezuela.
Certainly doesn't seem like a campaign slogan. I remember very distinctly the day you got the gavel.
Right.
I was there. I worked at the DCCC the cycle before. That was 20 years ago this year when you made history in that way.
Yeah. Well, in September,
it will be. It will be almost 20 years ago next year. And 40 years, almost, I think, since you've been serving. How do you think about your last year serving and what you want to accomplish over this next year?
One thing, the only reason I'm here this year is to win the House for the Democrats and for the American people. So that's my goal, to make Hakeem. He is doing a great job. And by the way, whatever the press wants to do every night about Trump, every day Democrats are calling into the Republican district. Republicans are calling into the Republican members and saying, don't take away my health care subsidies. So that's why you see some change in behavior, is because of the grassroots up. When we passed the Affordable Care Act, which I thought was my major accomplishment, I think it competes a little bit with bringing the House back into action the day that they tried to show the world that democracy doesn't work. And we said, yes, it does. We'll be there. Don't tell me I can't go back. We're going back. That was very important to wed it to January 6th. But I'm a big believer in mobilization. You have your message, you have all of that going, you have your policy, but the mobilization of making sure people know, as Lincoln said, public sentiment is everything. With it, you can accomplish almost anything. Without it, practically nothing. But for public sentiment to prevail, people have to know. And that's what we are doing at the grassroots level under the leadership of Hakeem Jefferson, our Democratic leadership in the House, working with the Senate and hopefully have both houses in a victory. But we will win. And as you asked me about my last year, that's my purpose, is to make sure that that happens. And I have no doubt that it will.
Well, as long as I've been involved in politics, never bet against Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi. And we will continue to talk a lot about health care on this show, I promise you. Thank you for being here.
Well, that's what matters most in the lives of the American people, not the behavior of a thug like Maduro. He's really a thug. And the people of Venezuela have been so mistreated by Chavez first and now this guy and whoever the vice president is there. It's even getting harsher, they say, in Venezuela. So let's prioritize. Let's be American. Let's recognize the goodness of the American people. Believing in that gives us hope. And that's what we are about.
Absolutely. A perfect place to end. Speaker Emerita Pelosi, thank you so much for being here with us.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.